Okay, great. Welcome everyone. Today we'll be talking about the Stratum dashboards and how you can use the new capability to quickly build these dashboards within the viewer environment. So today we'll talk about how that fits into the flexible information delivery concept of Stratum. We'll talk a little bit about these dashboards and how you can use the designer to edit or create new dashboards. And then we'll look at a quick demo and take any questions near the end of the session. But for those who haven't seen this particular slide, this kind of describes the Stratum Data Hub concept, where you have Stratum there with all of the predefined applications. And this database, as you well know, can sit on the iSeries, or it could also be in SQL Server. And so that's typically a predefined database with analytical data model that's again predefined. And as we can see, the flexible information delivery concept where users can come in and gain access to the data with multiple options for delivering this information, with dashboards being yet another option or a concept where you could deliver the data from Stratum uh, into the user's hands by using these dashboards. So as you can see, as part of the flexible information delivery concept, we can see that views can be used for different pieces of analysis, and of course dashboarding, which is what we'll talk about today. But of course, you can distribute them using the broadcast server, alerts, notifications, other third-party tools to use against the Stratum database, the Power BI connector, which is a new product that has been um, introduced. So the Power BI connector, we actually did a session on that a few weeks ago and talked about how you could use Power BI to connect to your views. And in the near future, we'll have the Excel plugin where you'll be able to have the same concept within Excel. Similar to the Power BI connector, you'll be able to connect to the Stratum database with some friendly metadata terms so that it's very easy to build reports within Excel. So that's something that's right around the corner in terms of being released. So let's talk a little bit about the Stratum dashboards. First thing that is required is that you need to be on viewer 7.1. So if you're on any other version prior to that, you will not be able to access the dashboard environment. The nice thing about the Stratum dashboards is that it basically allows you to leverage existing views and charts. You can also create new ones, of course, and leverage those as well. But when you create these dashboards, typically they're going to be more graphical views, something that's a little more concise. You want to, again, adhere to dashboarding best practices when you're building these dashboards. You don't want to provide too much detail, but certainly enough to tell a story or to provide a business theme to the dashboard. It's really easy to design the dashboard using drag and drop capabilities within the designer, and I'll be showing that to you today. We also have this concept of using custom widgets that you can link to other websites, other reporting services reports, perhaps, or again, Power BI reports and dashboards can also be linked in as well. So it's a great way to put together professional looking dashboards with some content you already may have, or certainly some new content that you can build specifically for certain types of dashboards. Here's an example of a dashboard within my home page of my viewer environment. We can see that I've got a few views here that are data grid in fashion, some that are graphical. And as I would scroll down, I would be able to see additional views and graphs. So how do we build this particular dashboard? Well, we use the new dashboard designer. And this is basically a subsite to your current viewer environment so that when you upgrade, you'll be able to just implement this as a subsite to viewer. It's actually quite simple. The URL will then be available to you so that you can gain access to the dashboard designer site. When you go into an edit mode within this particular designer, it will then gain access to all your views that do you have permission to see. So then you would actually be able to then drag and drop these views into new dashboards or existing dashboards for that matter. So this is something that you would probably wouldn't roll out to everyone. This is something that you would normally roll out to power users because as you can see, they would gain access to all the different dashboards that are available. So again, probably not something to roll out to everyone. When I go into an edit mode, I have an edit button within the dashboard designer that allows me to toggle in and out of edit modes. So when I go into an edit mode, as you can see, it then gains access to the different view groups and the views within those all the views within those view groups. So that allows me then to gain access to those and to then drag and drop the desired views that I want within my dashboarding. Again, when you're building the dashboard, you want to adhere to best practices. You don't want to just willy-nilly build in and dump in some views without any rhyme or reason. This is something that needs to be thought out. Who is your audience? What types of views do you have that will tell a good story to your audience? Are they graphical or are they data? Do they need to include data grids? What is this going to look like? You might even want to sketch it out um, on a whiteboard or using PowerPoint or whatever you feel comfortable with, but sketch out exactly what it is that you're trying to do. And so that will maintain a theme and some purpose as you're building and designing these different dashboards. Specifically, a good starting point would be who am I building this for, and what exactly would they want to see? And you might even want to ping the user community to get ideas of what exactly would be beneficial for them to see when they come in and click on, either as a home page or you can set these up as links so that when they click on them, it will then run within the main page area of a viewer. So depending on how you want to roll that out. Another really nice concept here is the drill through capabilities. So you'll be able to obviously push these dashboards out to the users and they'll be able to read them. But they'll also be able to click in on them and drill into more detail as needed. So certainly that capability is there so that obviously you can provide additional detail, give them an avenue so that they can pursue more analysis and get more detail with again without cluttering the initial dashboard site and adhering to some best practices there. So that allows us to go into the settings of these widgets. So when I bring over a view widget, it will allow me then to drag and drop the view into the designer. And then once that view is within the designer, I can then go into the settings options and decide what exactly I want to show for this particular view. Here we can see within the widget settings that I can um, hide many things here. I can hide the actual view name itself. The view filter area can be hidden. If there's an image associated to the view, of course, that can be toggled hidden as well. The paging controls, if you're anticipating no page, maybe just a graph, that's something you can hide as well. Any types of view icons that are associated with the view explorer itself, you can toggle on and off. Typically, you're going to want to leave that off. And the navigational panel. The navigational panel is nice. Many times I'll leave that on because it provides navigation capabilities. For instance, for a pie chart, you can leave it on there so that users can navigate backwards and start over with the pie chart. Other really nice concepts here would be the linked content where I can put in Sylvan's website or maybe the customer net site. I can actually put in the URL to the view so that they can drill to the view and perform further analysis and get further detail or any other content. So as you can see, when I go into the settings, I'll show this, but you'll be able to go in and toggle on and off these different features, um, and clean up the view, clean up the dashboard. Again, you want this to be cleaned. The less cluttered, the better. And this is why we gave you these options. You can actually update the title uh, area of the widget so that it will be meaningful. And so, again, I think that if you hide many of these things, you'll notice that it'll be very clean, and it's something that you would probably want to pursue. Um, Another great concept here is the custom URL widget. So again, each view that you drag and drop over can be will be a view widget. And then as you can see, I can drag and drop over custom URL widgets as well. And in this case, I'm actually pointing to a Power BI report. So that's the URL to the report. And when I run the dashboard, it then shows the actual Power BI report in its place there in that particular widget. So those are the different things that you can do. And I wanted to kind of step into the demo and show you, with the actual product itself, and show you some of these concepts live and direct. Um, Before I do so, feel free to contact me as needed if you're interested in pursuing getting access to this. Again, you would need to be up on version 7.1. If you're not there, you certainly can work with me, and I can help you um, develop a path to get you up to the most current version. As you can see, my email address is there. You can contact me directly. Also, there's some other really good resources here. Notice that we also have a YouTube channel, so make sure you check out all these available resources. So now we want to look at the demo of the dashboard. So here we are. I have my dashboard as the home page of my site. So as I hit the home button, it will then refresh the dashboard area. As you can see, it's actually running now, and voila, my dashboard is available. So this is the Stratum sales dashboard. And so how do we do this? How do we make this as part of my home page? Um, well, if you go into admin utilities under application, we can see that you can apply the URL to the dashboard right there in the global homepage area. Now, before you do this, you may not want to do this because, again, each one of you have a custom homepage already assigned to you that you may be using already. And I would definitely suggest that you probably would want to keep on using it as is. One thing you can do to with these dashboards is that you can certainly maybe create a view group uh, menu and put your dashboard links in there. As you can see, I've got some dashboard links, user links. Let's take a look at these. If I right click and edit this user link that points to this particular dashboard, it's the same dashboard, same URL. I can then name the link and give it a description and then tell it where within the view groups where that's going to be stored. Another nice thing is with these links is that you can open up a new window, or you can have the actual dashboard run in place within the main frame of the product itself. So I'm going to leave it as that, and I'm actually going to run this particular dashboard. So I just click on it, and again, it's the same dashboard, but it runs as part of the user link. So those are, again, you can create either make it the home page, or you can have these different links to the different dashboards for your users to gain access to. And again, these are just user links, and you would place them in the user groups, or I'm sorry, the view groups that the users would have access to, and then they would certainly be able to then run these views. And the views themselves, of course, they would be able to have access to as well. So you wouldn't be able to plop in a view there, and if if they don't see that view within their view groups, then obviously the view won't run for them. So how do we create these dashboards? How do we gain access to uh, the admin or the designer piece? Well, again, you could actually build a link to that as well. If I click on this, it'll take me directly into the designer. here is the URL to the designer, and you'll get that as part of the install. It'll actually tell you how to install this and what URL to use to gain access to the designer. Again, this is not something you're going to want to roll out to all your users. So this is something that you'll definitely want to just keep access limited, probably to most of your power users, or maybe some of the admins that are responsible for building your global views. Um, so once I gain access, excuse me, you'll see all the different dashboards that are currently available. Here's that one that keeps showing up in our demo. That's the one we actually we're looking at today. So this dashboard, as you can see, has multiple views in it. One of the views here on the left is just a string. It's actually one view with multiple graphs. So certainly you can do that too. You can just have one view with multiple graphs in it. This current month scorecard is yet another view that's more data grid. So what would happen if I were to open this tab? I can actually now, so I have a couple options here. I can open this in another tab, or I can specify a linked content to this particular widget. And then I can set these parameter settings as needed when I go into an edit mode. So here's the edit button. So if I wanted to make any changes to any of these dashboards, I would then need to click on the edit button. That then puts me into an edit mode. Once it puts me into an edit mode, what I like to do is kind of collapse some of these menus here to the left, and here I can then gain access to all the different views that I can see within the application. And here at the very bottom are the custom widget. So if I wanted to drop that in, I can gain access to that at the very bottom. Now, again, all of you may not have as many view groups as we have, so this may not be as cluttered as our environment. As I scroll down, we can see that I've got quite a few things here already. Here's a custom widget that I've installed looking at a Power BI report. So interestingly enough, I can go into the settings of this particular widget, and we can see that it's essentially just a URL to that report. Pretty simple. And you just dump that in there, and it shows whatever report that you want to point it to. So that's actually quite simple in terms of getting any types of custom URL, any types of custom reports in. Here I can see that I can also delete any one of my widgets. So I just whacked one right there where I can then bring that back in. So if I want to go back into maybe my favorites, I can then gain access to some of my charting views, and I'll just drag and dump those into the dashboard. So now I'm actually adding in a new graph to the Stratum Sales dashboard, and I'm going to expand that out so that it'll be right under the actual Power BI report. So I've actually just updated a dashboard, and I provided new content to it by adding in one of my views that I think the users will like to see there. And so if I right click on the dashboard, I can open that in a new tab and kind of see it in its full glory. So here's what the dashboard would look like, basically running it within a full frame. Here I can just click on to log into that Power BI report. Looks like I need to authenticate that in again. And there's the graph that I just added in as well. So again, pretty simple to get some of that stuff in there. And Power BI report's now populating. So that's looking pretty good. And the views, again, they're active, so I can drill in on them. So if I want to drill in on my food service division, I can see all the different distribution channels and how the numbers look for that. The views themselves might be drillable. So if I want to see, for instance, I can drill into another view from the actual view to, again, get more detail. The whole concept here is to drive more detail, to have the detail accessible, so that users can very quickly get into them and gain access to further detail behind some of these dashboards. So whether you take them in that way, or they can go to the actual view itself by clicking on the actual open view item by itself, and notice how it then steps me into the view behind the widget. And so now I can actually exercise full-blown viewer analysis. I'm in the view now, and I can just do what I need to do within the view itself. So, so again, while you're in the dashboard edit mode, you're able to go into the settings of all the widgets. Here's my widget for the view widget, so I can actually come in here. Maybe I want to show the navigational panel. I can go ahead and trigger that on. This particular widget also has a link content filled in, and it's basically a link to the view with other parameters associated to it. So I click on save, and notice that now the navigational panel is now available. It's visible. Here it is. And then I also have the linked content. That's available. That was there already, like I said, and I can click on that, and it will show me what it's linked. Basically, it shows me the view behind that particular graph with the data grid exposed, so that then I can look at this data graphically. I can also see it within my data grid as well. So you've got quite a bit here in terms of what you can manage at the settings. I can bring in all these different areas. I can rename the actual title of the widget itself. Maybe if I wanted it to say something other than Outlook, I can certainly, again, I can come into my settings and rename them as needed. So, and then again, once you're ready to deploy and bring it into viewer, again, you would just right click, open that dashboard in a new tab. This URL, you would just basically copy that, and then I can create a new link. So for instance, if I wanted to create a new user link, give it a name, I can call it new dashboard, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, I can describe it as needed, make it global, dump it into the dashboard view group area, and certainly don't forget my URL. Also, maybe I want this to open not in a new window, so I will deselect that, and then I save it. So that should now be available in my dashboard view group, and there it is, called new dashboard. I run it. It runs the dashboard in place, and users can now benefit from gaining access to all of these fantastic, bringing it all together, right? We bring all these views together that tell a story, bring these reports that may be getting data from Stratum, may be getting data from other sources. The data here doesn't necessarily have to come from Stratum when you're linking to these other reports that with using the custom widget. So really, in all honesty, this should open up, my goodness, many things to show your users, and to guide them to further analysis, and to really give them this rich experience